the legend of Sarah McKinnon began on a bitter February morning in 1897, when the residents of Fort McMurray first laid eyes on a woman who would challenge everything they understood about time itself. She appeared at the edge of town during a blizzard so fierce that even the hardiest trappers had taken shelter, walking barefoot through snow that should have killed any soul within minutes. What made her appearance even more unsettling was her clothing, a strange, shimmering fabric that seemed to repel the snow and ice, cut in a style that no seamstress in the Northwest Territories had ever seen. When the town's doctor, James Robertson, examined her frostbite-free feet, he found skin as soft as a newborn's. Despite her claims of having walked for days through the wilderness, Sarah spoke English with an accent that linguist scholars would later describe as impossibly evolved, a dialect that seemed to contain elements of languages that had not yet been invented. She carried no possessions save for a small, smooth device that glowed with its own inner light, something she clutched protectively and refused to let anyone examine. When questioned about her origins, Sarah would only say she had come from the time when the great ice returns, speaking of events that made no sense to the frontier settlers. She described vast cities beneath the frozen lakes, machines that could harvest energy from the aurora borealis, and a Canada transformed by technological marvels that sounded like pure fantasy to 19th century ears. The first sign that Sarah McKinnon was no ordinary refugee came when she accurately predicted the exact date and time of a spring flood that would devastate the Athabasca River Valley. She warned the townspeople with such conviction that many moved their livestock and belongings to higher ground, saving thousands of dollars in property and countless lives. But her knowledge went beyond weather patterns. She knew intimate details about people's lives that she could not possibly have learned. Speaking to the blacksmith about his brother who had died in a mining accident 3 provinces away, or telling the pastor's wife about a letter she would receive the following Tuesday from her sister in Halifax. As weeks passed, Sarah's presence began to affect the very fabric of Fort McMurray's existence. Electronic compasses would spin wildly in her vicinity, pocket watches would run backward, and several townspeople reported vivid dreams of a future where the small trading post had become a massive city of glass and steel, powered by something called oil sands that lay beneath their feet. The local photography studio found that Sarah could not be captured on film. Every photograph showed only an empty space where she should have been standing, though her voice could be heard clearly on Thomas Edison's newly invented phonograph recordings. The mystery deepened when Sarah began speaking about people who had not been born yet, as if she knew them personally. She would reference Prime Minister Trudeau and the Internet age, terms that meant nothing to the frontier community, but which she spoke about with the familiarity of lived experience. Dr. Robertson, who had studied at McGill University, began keeping detailed notes of her conversations, creating what would later be recognized as one of the most comprehensive records of alleged time displacement in Canadian history. Sarah described technologies that would not be invented for decades. Electric lights powered by moving water, horseless carriages that could travel faster than trains, and flying machines that could carry hundreds of people across the Atlantic Ocean. The turning point came in late March, when Sarah's mysterious device began to emit a low humming sound that could be heard throughout the settlement. Animals became restless. Migrating caribou changed their ancient routes to avoid the town entirely, and the northern lights appeared during daylight hours, a phenomenon that defied every known law of nature. Sarah herself began to change, her skin taking on an almost translucent quality that seemed to shimmer like heat waves rising from summer pavement. She spoke increasingly of temporal resonance and chronological displacement, scientific terms that would not enter common usage until the Einstein era, decades in the future. Children were the first to notice that Sarah cast no reflection in mirrors or still water, though adults could see her clearly with their naked eyes. The town's minister, Reverend William Knox, became convinced that Sarah was either an angel or a demon, depending on his theological mood that particular day. He organized prayer meetings specifically to divine the truth of the mysterious woman's nature. But Sarah attended these gatherings herself, reciting biblical passages in ancient Hebrew and Aramaic, with such fluency that even the learned reverend was left speechless. Her knowledge extended to future translations of scripture that would not be discovered until archaeological expeditions of the 1940s. By April, Sarah's effect on the local environment had become undeniable. Flowers bloomed weeks ahead of schedule, in perfect geometric patterns around the boarding house where she stayed. And the aurora borealis began appearing in colors that had never been recorded, deep purples and brilliant golds that painted the night sky like a cosmic canvas. Dr. Robertson's medical instruments registered temperature readings around Sarah that fluctuated wildly, sometimes showing her body heat as below freezing, other times registering temperatures that should have been lethal to human tissue. The most unsettling aspect of Sarah's presence was her ability to recall conversations that had not happened yet, with disturbing accuracy. She would respond to questions before they were asked, finish sentences that people were still forming in their minds, and provide solutions to problems that the townspeople did not even know they had. When the trading post's accounts fell into disarray due to a clerical error, Sarah corrected the mathematical mistakes using numerical systems that would not be developed until the computer age, solving complex calculations in her head that took Dr. Robertson hours to verify with conventional arithmetic. As spring turned to early summer, Sarah began to fade, literally becoming more transparent with each passing day. She spoke with increasing urgency about chronological instability and the need to return to her proper temporal coordinates. The device she carried glowed brighter, its humming growing so intense that it could be heard from miles away. Tribal elders from the local Cree band arrived in town, claiming their ancestors' spirits had told them of the woman who walks between times, and that her presence was disturbing the balance between past and future. On June 21st, the summer solstice, Sarah McKinnon made her final predictions for the people of Fort McMurray. She described in precise detail how their remote settlement would transform over the next century into one of Canada's most important industrial centers. Built on wealth extracted from beneath the very ground they walked upon, she spoke of world wars that would involve millions of people, of plagues that would circle the globe in a matter of weeks, and of human achievements that would allow people to communicate instantly across vast distances and even travel to the moon itself. The final documented sighting of Sarah McKinnon occurred at precisely 11:47 p.m. on June 23, 1897. During the most spectacular aurora borealis display in recorded northern Canadian history. Witnesses described seeing her walk directly into the curtains of dancing light, her form merging with the luminous greens and golds until she became indistinguishable from the natural phenomenon itself. The mysterious device she carried flashed once with brilliant white light, and then both Sarah and the unusual aurora vanished simultaneously, leaving the night sky black and empty. Dr. Robertson's detailed journals were discovered in 1967 during renovations of the old Fort McMurray Hospital, sparking renewed interest in the case among paranormal researchers and quantum physicists alike. His meticulous documentation included sketches of Sarah's unusual clothing, transcripts of her conversations about future events, and even pressed flowers from the geometric gardens that had appeared around her lodging. Modern analysis of these botanical specimens revealed genetic markers that should not exist in plants from that era, suggesting either contamination from future plant varieties or evidence of actual temporal displacement. The legend of Sarah McKinnon has become deeply embedded in northern Alberta folklore, with multiple generations of families claiming ancestors who witnessed her impossible knowledge and otherworldly presence. Every June 23rd, during the peak of aurora borealis season, locals report unusual electromagnetic disturbances and unexplained lights that seem to dance with purpose rather than follow natural patterns. Some claim to have seen a translucent figure walking through the northern lights, always moving northward, always carrying a device that glows with inner fire. Today, the city that grew from that remote trading post stands as a testament to Sarah's impossible predictions. Its massive oil sands operations fulfilling her prophecies about wealth beneath the ground with eerie accuracy. Whether she was a time traveler, an interdimensional visitor, or simply a remarkably prescient woman with an extraordinary understanding of geological processes and social development, Sarah McKinnon remains one of Canada's most compelling mysteries. Her story challenges our understanding of linear time and raises questions about whether the past, present, and future are as separate as we believe them to be, or whether some individuals possess the ability to step between the moments of history, like crossing stones in a stream. The legend of Sarah McKinnon forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about the nature of reality itself. In an age where quantum physics suggests that time may not flow in the straight line we imagine, her story feels less like fantasy and more like a glimpse into possibilities we are only beginning to understand. Perhaps somewhere in the dancing lights of the aurora borealis, the boundaries between yesterday and tomorrow become thin enough for extraordinary individuals to slip through. Or maybe Sarah's tale is simply what happens when human intuition and observation reach levels so advanced that they appear supernatural to those around them. What do you think really happened to Sarah McKinnon? Do you believe some people can genuinely see across time? Or is there a more earthly explanation for her impossible knowledge? Have you ever encountered something that challenged your understanding of how time works? Share your thoughts and your own unexplained experiences in the comments below. And if this mysterious Canadian legend left you questioning the very nature of reality, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Wes's Best for more mind-bending stories from Canada's hidden history. Do not forget to ring that notification bell so you never miss our explorations into the strange, unexplained, and downright impossible tales that lurk in the shadows of Canadian folklore.